Hello and welcome back to another episode of For Azeroth. I am one of your hosts, the true villain Manny, and joining me, battered, bruised, but triumphant, is Sean. Sean, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm sore. It was a rough day at Pilates. It was rough. I had to do this exercise. I don't even know if I can do it sitting in my chair, where I laid on my stomach and my arms were up like football goalposts to either side of me. If you're watching the stream, you can see what I'm doing it. I was laying face down, and I had to lift my arms with my elbows couldn't go above my wrists, and my wrists couldn't bend. So the whole arm had to lift all at once at the same time. And I'm saying that, and you're like, oh, yeah, that sounds easy.
No.
Try it. Right now at home or at work or wherever you're listening to this, you're on the subway, lay down, face down, put your arms, like you were saying, it's good for football, for like a touchdown. They make your elbows make a right angle. And then try to lift your arm off the ground without lifting your elbow first. Just the wrist has to come off first, but you can't bend your wrist. Yeah, you can do it sitting up. It's easy to sit up.
Because, like,
but yeah, do that.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, anyway, I'm doing good, though, other than that.
I got something to do after the podcast. Okay, all right.
You're going to try, get a little pat. She had a towel that she folded over a couple times for me to rest my forehead on. The only thing you lift is your arms, and your elbows have to come up, ideally at the same time, but they can't, because the instinct is going to be either to bend your wrists, like to bend your hands to lift, or to lift your elbows first. But you got to do that. It was nuts. Pilates is crazy. Pilates might be the best workout I've ever had in my life. It's just so good.
I always went for the weight training and stuff. I hated mobility exercises, and I hated cardio. Oh god, I hated cardio. But good for you.
I'm sorry if this messes up your camera angle, but I gotta stand up. I can't sit.
No, that's all. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
So you're getting the gains in real life. The gains in real life. What about in the world of Warcraft? How has your week in WoW been?
Oh man, crazy. Speaking of gains, holy shnikes, Manny, I have been playing the snot out of MoP Remix. I love this game mode. I am item level 476. That's the max item level you can be. I did not frog. I am not a frogger, but I don't judge froggers. I stand the froggers. I embrace the froggers. Froggers made it possible for a lot of us in the early on to get through stuff really quick. So shout out to any froggers out there who may or may not be listening. But yeah, I'm item level 476, and now I've started dumping my bronze into gear. I get about 60,000 bronze a day. And I do that in about 2.5 hours. All I do is full clear all the raids on heroic, and then do a normal scenario, heroic scenario, normal heroic. It takes about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 at the outset, and then I shut her down. In 30 days, I will have enough bronze to buy everything.
Okay, sorry. So your item level cannot go any higher.
No, maxed out.
And we are how many days into this?
I don't know. 18?
18. And this was a 95-day event. So when people were saying they could never catch the froggers, which orifice were they speaking out of?
So I guess, technically, because the cloak power continues to go up, you won't catch them in that regard. But the cloak power is so minuscule compared to your gear power. People had it's just they did what people do, and that is speak without having any education. They said they heard one person say, "We're never going to catch these people," and they freaked out. Imagine if every race to world first, after Liquid or Echo killed the last boss, every other raider in the world went, "We're never going to be able to do this. They did it in a week. We're never going to be able to do this. Nerf them." That's essentially what happened. People saw people farming. They got strong. They got max gear. And then everyone was like, "Oh, we're never going to be able to catch them." This sucks. I'm so mad.
Okay. And
But they were
so,
wrong. Got 'em. Like, and it's not just me. Like, there's a group of about 12 of us that rotate through. Somewhere in the range of 6 to 8 of us run these raids every day. And they're all like on par with people. And we have a guy who did do some frogging. Not a lot, but he did a little bit of frogging in our group, and they do as much damage as he does. One guy does more. If you're a demon hunter, you don't even have to do anything else. Just be a demon hunter. Demon hunters do 10 million damage at max item level.
okay. And so I'm seeing Technodork, who is saying in chat that you got yelled at. Is this yelled at again on stream? Is this another person?
No.
Is this the same person
It's
you were
that
talking
same
about last
person.
time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying,
Haven't
random
seen him since.
abuse every week. This is getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, but it's been great. It's a lot of fun, and we've been able to, because there's a lot of us that went for the power gains.
Mhm.
We've been able to help people, and not everybody plays that way. I get it. You play. I'm an advocate of play how you want to play. So I have friends who are not putting points into bronze, and they're like, "Hey, I want to get my achievements." All right, well, they come with us, and they get achievements, and we run them through, and it takes no time at all. It's just, and there's I have a specific one friend in particular who has 2 max level characters, and he runs the raids every day and brings people in who needs the raids for full clears who can't get into groups otherwise. He actively looks for people with lower item level. He's incredible. So,
Oh, so there are groups that are looking for that item level just to speed up the process at this point now.
probably, yeah. I don't. Again, it's hard for me to say I start my own groups, and even if I applied to another group, I would get in right away because of my item level. So
Yeah, yeah. You're not the demographic that's being affected by this as much.
yeah.
Okay. Now, in regards to the cloak,
Mhm.
they did do a hot fix this week where people had actually hit the limitation of the cloak, and so then they had
Yeah.
to raise the limitation. So people have already
Yeah.
hit that point. Um, are you at a point where you could try and solo some raids? Maybe not the heroic raids, but dungeons or normal. Maybe I don't know how you
I
LFR.
I could definitely solo dungeons. It takes me about a minute and a half to clear a heroic dungeon, unless it's the Siege of Nizao, and then I kill the first boss and leave the group. Because you only get a 15-minute deserter debuff if you kill the first boss, as opposed to 30 minutes. That dungeon's way too long. It's ridiculous. There's too much RP.
Alright.
But yeah, I could do dungeons. Takes about a minute and a half, 3 minutes max usually for dungeons. And I haven't tried it, but I suspect I could solo uh, Mogashin Vaults and probably Terrace of Endless Suffering.
That's not exactly what TOE stand for, but sure.
It's close.
Is
Close
this
enough.
another one that has too much RP?
No, actually, they're both pretty quick. I can never remember when I first saw the abbreviation. I didn't know what it stood for, and that's what came out the first time, and now that's permanently implanted in my brain. But I
Okay.
love it. I'm having fun. I feel like I'm helping some people when they need it. I know for sure we got a couple people their titles for clearing all the heroics that wouldn't have gotten it otherwise, or maybe wouldn't have gotten it as soon, I should say. And I've been playing through the story of Mists, and Manny, I'm going to tell you, this is breaking news here on Faz. Mr. Pandaria is now officially my second favorite expansion of Warcraft ever. It's that good. It is that good.
Now, I've seen you tweeting it, so maybe not exactly breaking news, but where exactly are you in terms of the story? Have you gone through it all?
I am entering the Dread Wastes. So I just met Lynn Lee something something. She's an archer on the wall. I'm just about to start the Dread Wastes. But it would have to take a massive nosedive for it not to. And like I thought, Town Long Steps was going to be it because it starts off sort of slow, and there is a problem. The problem that I've noticed that is frustrating for me, um, in that all of the content is open,
Mhm.
so I have to be careful because I want to do it in order, right? I want to go 5.0, 5.1, whatever, whatever. But because it's all available when they land in the zone, like I had a quest available, and it was a campaign quest from Verisa in Town Long Steps, where she wanted me to go to the Isle of Thunder. But that's after 5.0. I don't know which one it is. So anyway, I talked to her and I saw this. I was like, I don't think this is right now. This story feels like it's a different, and it's sort of like because it doesn't differentiate to tell you, hey, this was the first expansions campaign, this was our first patch campaign, this is second. You get sort of a disjointed story. So spoilers, there's a main character, well, there's a side character who is corrupted, and I don't know and I think this is why the Town Long Steps bother me, because that character, I found out that character was corrupted in Kunlai Summit when it ends in a dungeon. When I went to Town Long Steps, he was there. And I don't know if it was pre us finding out he was corrupted or post. Some of the conversation that he said afterwards made me feel like it was post, like we had saved him and this was him, but he doesn't really specifically mention what had happened in the dungeon. So I was like, I feel like I'm playing this a bit out of order. And that bothers me because I'd like to be able to just go through the story. I wish the dungeon markers, and I can't imagine, I mean, this is me coming in as an experienced player. I can't imagine a new player who's starting their, second alt and showing up somewhere and like all of the quests are available. Like, that's just too much. And it's not a fun way to experience a story. So they should either differentiate either with like colors or something. I guess I could just look, somebody maybe needs to write an add-on. I don't know. Anyway, but it's been great. I've been enjoying it.
Okay. I would have thought that the one that would have confused you would have been probably Karasong Wilds. Because I could imagine you doing what was part of the leveling and then running into Invasion Point and that being all over the place.
Oh, was that not part of the main leveling? Yeah, then that definitely confused me. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, because is
that the elves?
No. This is when the main alliance
town that we save?
comes in. No, so the town that you save and the little elf thing, that's part of the leveling campaign.
Yeah,
right?
okay, I did that.
And that leads into the hidden master and defending the wall and all that. Okay. But there is, after the leveling campaign, there is when the main forces of the Alliance and Horde land on Pandaria. And they basically, okay, good. Because that completely transforms that entire zone. Like, it becomes this huge Alliance versus Horde stuff.
I haven't seen that yet.
That is good. I'm giving both thumbs up for our audio listeners because that is actually the next point that comes through. Then after you do that, that's when you do the Thunder, the Isle of Thunder, and then you'll be heading towards like the finale. And that's what that's how I'm going to say it without giving you any spoilers, because I genuinely think that Pandaria.
I'll probably have to look it up.
Yeah, you probably will. I genuinely think that Pandaria was good post leveling campaign more than just the leveling campaign.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I just, like Jay said, the quests should be numbered maybe or something. I would love. I'm using the dialogue UI add-on by Peter Yu. Big shout out to Peter Yu and Narcissus. It would be great if that, like, I just need some way to tell me, hey, this is 5.1. Come back and do this later. It's unfortunate that Blizzard doesn't have a solution for that. I feel like, especially for players that come to an expansion halfway through, like, can't imagine what it's like showing up in Dragonflight now and just seeing
it was a disaster.
Campaign quests everywhere. Like, is it do I go to the tier hold to do this quest? Do I go to the Emerald Dream to do this quest? Where the sweet F do I go? Anyway, Mists, great. 10 out of 10. No notes. Well, one note. Just that one note. But that's a 9.5 out of 10, one note.
Well, they are making a lot of adjustments as we go through it. They haven't stopped yet. They have made changes. Have you tried to get the Theramar Tabard or the mana bomb? You would need a
no. So initially they were available for purchase and then immediately gone right away, I think, or they never made it they were available for purchase in the beta, never made it to live. There was a workaround where if you did the Theramore scenario at exactly level 35, you got both. I'm not an alt guy. It actually was a bit of a struggle for me to even make the alt that I'm playing Pandaria in. So there was like a 0% chance I was going to make an alt to get to level 35. Now I am a Tabard fanatic. So I may have done it. But anyway, I didn't have to because Blizzard was like, hey, yo, here you go. We'll put this in the store for you. and now I can just buy it. So the Theramore Tabard and the Mana Bomb are in the store, and they're actually way cheaper than they were on the PTR. They're only like, I don't know the number. A reasonable number. They're a very reasonable number.
Yeah, it seems odd because those are not from Pandaria itself, but from the
Mm.
pre-patch. Like the scenario for the bombing of Theramore was actually part of the pre-patch scenario, and
Okay.
then it was included when we went into Pandaria. But it's like the Cataclysm pre-expansion where you got the Nomoran Tabard and the Darkspear Tabard. You never got those again, even later in Cataclysm. So I was really not expecting those to show back up, but they're there, limited time. I would definitely jump on this if you are a collector of toys and tabards.
Yep, big fan. And they keep making adjustments. They're making nerfs to bosses. They're making minor adjustments here and there, tweaks. They did come out and say, hey, we're not dropping the cost of upgrading your gear. There's a lot of folks who were like sitting on that, waiting. They're like, hey, we don't know if we want to upgrade or not. Are they going to drop the cost? And Blizzard was like, we're not doing it, at least anytime soon. So spend that cheddar.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that they won't increase the rate that you gain bronze, which is effectively the same thing, but it means that the bronze that you have now and the bronze that you spend to sink into upgrades isn't going to be suddenly discounted and you're like, oh, Blizzard, give me back my bronze, it's now cheaper, sort of thing. And I think that's
Yeah.
maybe the reason that they're like, yeah, we're not doing that, guys. You've invested in it, you've made the investment, it's always going to be.
Yeah.
So that is Pandaria. Of course, like you said, lots of changes there. Check our show notes, guys. I did extensive show notes for all the stuff that happened this week. One thing that I do want to point to is that the world bosses do not drop the mounts that they used to. So if you've been killing Nalik, Shah, Undansta, whatever, yeah, never had a chance of dropping it. You have to collect the bronze and buy it through the vendor, Hemet Nessingway the 17th or whatever, or you can go kill it on live servers where it is still dropping and does have that increased drop chance that they've had since the introduction of Dragonflight and that entire debacle with evokers.
Can you still, so in MoP Remix, you can't fly on Shady Nasty's island? Can you not fly there in live as well, or did they change that after?
Whose island?
Shady Nasty, Dynasty, Undasta.
Oh no, you can't fly on Undasta's island. Yeah, that's locked out. Same thing with the Timeless Isle and the Isle of Thunder. Can't fly on any of those.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's all locked out. On live, we finally are getting some adjustments. So coming with the reset, which is literally tomorrow if you're here with us live, or if you're listening to this on the podcast or YouTube, that is today. They finally did some class changes. So we've seen some like buffs to certain classes, including my enhancement shaman got some targeted buffs. We saw an overall healing buff for evokers. So if you're a preservation evoker, congratulations. Just flat 6% more healing all around. Some of the buffs are far more targeted. Like there was a mana cost, huge mana cost reduction for the restoration druids that want to use Moonfire, so you won't go doing that anytime soon. But in general, it just feels like the classes that were suffering, like Survival Hunter, have got some buffs, and they were trying to be very specific about this because some of the classes got buffs to their set bonuses, so their baseline strength is still the same, while others got those baseline changes, which I guess is them being careful of what they're going to be doing in the War Within.
I like it. Yeah. Are you still playing season 4, Manny? Is anybody? If you're listening, hey, chat and listeners of the podcast, how active are you still in season 4 as we're approaching week 7?
Well, to answer you on
Curious to
my
know.
end, I am pretty inactive. I'm playing to go for like some mount hunts on resets, check to see if those are going. I'm playing like once a week to do with my like static group to do keys. That's about it, man. Like I'm already in clean out the bank mode because everything's gonna drop in value and has like, oh geez, it's pretty crazy. And yeah, it's end of expansion prep mode, I would say. Have you been
I
on?
would, yeah. So we're casually rating. We're not like hard rating. So we do a heroic sale clear on Tuesday, and then we have been doing mythic Thursday of whatever the awakened raid is. But that means I still need to cap my crests and still need to fill my vault. So 8 keys a week, and then mythic bosses. And I do the sale raids on Tuesday. And that's it. That's literally it. I have even stopped doing the profession quests, which I'm still not caught up on because I swapped mains and there's no catch up mechanic for profession quests. You're just forever behind. Um, yeah. Anyway, I would like to do a post mortem on season 4 as we get closer to the end. Maybe me, you, and Lex get some POVs on it. I'm curious how we feel it went and how it compares to the previous season 4.
Yeah, I would definitely want to do that. I think maybe it is part of a larger conversation of Dragonflight in general, because I think
Mm,
part of what makes this season 4 or breaks this season 4 is how the cadence of Dragonflight was in general. But again, that is a story for a later day
right.
because we have some big things on the horizon. The War Within just released a trailer today. Oh, so hype. Tell me about this because this is the beta release trailer, January 5th, which is going to be Thursday of this week. We are getting wait, I might screw that up. Is that Thursday or is that Wednesday? I think that's Wednesday actually.
The
Because
5th
the 5th is Wednesday.
is Wednesday.
Yeah. So this Wednesday, the beta is going to be live. And they dropped this
June
trailer.
6th is Thursday. When does it come out? It's on the
It's
5th, right?
the 5th. This
Yeah.
Wednesday, the 5th.
Yeah.
I hope I said that
Remember
right
the
now.
5th of June, November.
Listen, that's one of my favorite movies. Don't take that lightly. Okay.
Aw.
Um,
Stomach.
so June 5th, Wednesday,
Yeah.
we have the beta. They released this trailer today.
Yeah.
Tell me about this trailer.
I'm going to do my best Lex impression. If Lex was here, folks, this would be where she breaks it down. Okay. So this is Sean doing a Lex impression, breaking down the beta hype trailer. Okay, besties. So it starts off and Zalteth is talking, and she's like, yo, you guys think you're all that, and I've been watching, but you don't know that I'm watching. I'm just sort of like creeping on you. And then it cuts to scenes of Thrall, and then it shows Jaina, and Jaina's like all powerful, and Thrall's like sitting and he's like trying to focus, and he can't get his rocks up, and then he punches the ground because his rocks won't get up. And then Magni's all like, what does it even mean? And he's just standing there in the heart of Azeroth, and his fists are all crumbly and cakey. And then it shows a bunch of other people and it ends with Zaltaz. She does a super great smirk, and everybody on the planet fell in love with her. And it's a good thing it's Pride Month because we're all bi now. That about sums it up. My best Lex impression. Lex, hopefully I did you proud.
oh, oh, bestie.
Dude, this trailer was incredible. Like start to finish, nonstop thrill ride. Oh my goodness. Right into my veins.
Yeah, this was a great trailer for the hype. It was a great trailer to sort of anchor people. I think what they did with this trailer was they want to show the ominous kind of looming threat of Xalatath. So they have her voice kind of weaving it all together. And then they hit these, like, these are the poster characters, right? The poster that came out last week when they announced that, hey,
Oh,
the
Anduin. They
beta's
showed
hitting.
Anduin. I forgot Anduin. Completely forgot Anduin.
Yeah,
He's in there.
forgot it. Yeah. Right? And so it is, oh, here's Illyria, and she's like looking out there into the darkness and being like, "Oh, I'm a little scared." And then there's Anduin, and he looks like just like he's been through hell and is still going through it. And then it's like Jaina, who I think there's kind of a juxtaposition there because Jaina looks strong, but from the words that are said, it almost feels like a false bravado, and that makes me really worried for poor Jada. She doesn't need to get broken down right now, but I guess everybody's got to go through it. And then they get to Thrall, and I have criticisms about Thrall doing the same storyline 3 times in a row, but it's a good expression of like he's trying to connect with the elements. And you know what? It's great to see a relatively calm Orgrimmar in the background. And it all literally just falls apart. The harmony is just not there. And then the anger wells up.
Probably because he chose Totemic.
We will have a different discussion about Totemic, but that would frustrate most people.
Charles upset because he read the Enhancement Shaman hero talents.
It's just such a mess. Such a mess. And so after he read those, he loses his concentration. It all falls apart and he's angry. And then it comes back to Xal'atath. Like everybody is falling into her trap. Just pawns on the board that she's moving. And wow, what a quick way to like sort of sum up the direction we're going, even if you're not hitting on the exact points. And just sell Xal'atath as like a big bad.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. 100%. If they give us any opportunity at all to side with her, Azeroth be damned. I am ready to sign up today. I'm doing my part. Would you like to know more? Yeah, big fan. Xal'atath is just, there's just one scene where she does a smirk and she like crosses her arms over her chest.
Yep.
And I'm getting that tattooed next week because wow. So
it's
good.
Great because she's holding the dark heart and
Holding
she
my
just
heart.
clutches it to her chest. And you know, just she's holding a heart and she clutches it to her chest. It's so wholesome. And the entirety of it is just subverted by the kind of off tone orchestral music that comes in and then
did you
rises
notice
up.
that? Yeah, where they distort the music at the end as the logo is showing. So good.
Yeah, and it's just
man.
all so unsettling. And she just does a smile, and you're like, that is not a wholesome little girl there.
No, Darren Gregory and the cinematic team are wizards. They are that nobody is hitting it out of the park like they are. It's incredible. Oh man. And I just want to say this. So I'm really sold. I don't know what it is. I've always been lukewarm on Anduin. And since the reveal trailer, I have fallen entirely in like I'm a 100% Anduin stan now. I have 4 monitors here, all of them on Blizzard's website. You can go to the Blizzard website and they have wallpapers there. They're all wallpapers of Anduin from the War Within. And in this hype trailer, when they showed him like walking across a desert wearing that outfit that he has on, all I could think is the Traveler from the East from the original Diablo, from Diablo 1 and 2. Like, man, there's an alternate timeline where Anduin goes to what is the name of that city in the second Diablo? The second city you go to, the Sand one.
It's not Tristram. It's
no, Tristram's the starting city. It's like Al Garib or something like that. Anyway,
okay.
He goes there, and I'm here for it. Anduin's story is great, but I am gonna have to let him burn so the Xal'atath can consume me.
I'm glad that Anduin. I'm glad that Anduin is showing more depth of character. Anduin, to me, feels like a Superman character in that he has such a strong moral compass. Like, he is always sure on moving towards the right thing. And that is not the same thing as saying Anduin's a Mary Sue, which, when written poorly, Superman and Anduin can be that. Right? But the struggle for Anduin and the struggle for Superman as well is always when the right thing isn't apparent, when the right thing costs so much more, and being willing to do that. And the beauty of Anduin is that he's not Superman. He is so flawed and he is so broken. And so if Anduin continues forward and does the right thing, I am so behind that because that is amazing. And if Anduin stumbles and he falls short of that, that is so human. So I'm like invested in
Mhm.
either way, and that's why like I actually like Anduin right now, whereas before I've been like not super happy with him before.
Yeah, I'm here for him. I'm here to help him on his journey. I can't wait to see how it plays out. As long as he doesn't have to fight Void Mommy, we're good. But Manny, so the beta's coming out June 5th. We've said this a couple of times now. There's this hype trailer out there that has me all the juices flowing, all the good brain chemicals. How do I get into the beta, Manny?
Well, as we've been saying to our co-host Lex, you
Oh my
need to
God, she's saying my
sign
name.
up. We don't know. We don't have an answer on
Lex
Watch
Watch.
this week. We missed it last week. We'll have to ask. But if she did buy the Epic edition, spoiler, she did not. She would immediately get in because Blizzard has now said that anybody who has the Epic edition is granted instant access on June 5th. Before, I was thinking, hey, they would invite them in waves so as to have test like consistent people who are enthusiastic to get to testing throughout this beta phase. But no, they are opening the floodgates. It's really funny that they're doing this when we're in Mist of Pandaria Remix because they did a similar thing with the original Mist of Pandaria. They allowed everybody who bought Diablo 3 to get into the Mist of Pandaria beta.
Oh, very cool.
So we've got a little bit of parallel history there. It's a I just remember the choke points were a killer because
Mm.
it was just a ton of people, more people than they normally allow in. So be ready, guys. Thursday is going to be an absolute stress test for sure.
Not to be a negative Nancy
Hmm.
or a Debbie Downer. How come there's none of those types of names with guy names? Guys are way more downers than girls. Anyway,
Hmm.
not to be a
Colin
David
Sean.
Downer. I'm mixing it up. Not to be wow. Wow. Not to be a sullen Sean. I like that. Not to be we're embracing it. Not to be a sullen Sean. I'm gonna use that. That's gonna be a regular thing now. We're putting this in the show notes. How long do you think it will be before there is nobody on the beta to do dungeons with? Like there is currently nobody in the alpha to do dungeons with.
I don't think that it will be as bad as that. I genuinely think that there will be a huge overload, if you will.
Mhm.
There will be a tapering off, but it won't get to the point that we're at right now. Part of it is because when you have that large of a crowd, they kind of feed on each other. Like
Mhm.
when I'm trying to do dungeons on Alpha right now, I set up an organized group because I have no no hope in my mind that I'm going to be able to just pug into it.
Yeah.
And that causes less people to try and pug into it, and eventually just
Yeah.
means it's self-fulfilling.
So
When
you're
you have
part of the
that
problem.
critical mass, it might stay there longer.
Is that what you're saying? You're part of the problem?
We're all part of the problem because I'm not the first one to do it, and we're out there. But
I would never. I only queue.
to help you out even more, Salty Sean, we
Sullen.
have
Sullen Sean. I don't want to be salty,
so
Sean. That's
okay,
too
so,
Navy. Sullen Sean.
Sullen Sean. Okay, to help you out, Sullen Sean. The other part is that we're likely to start getting things like Brawl with the Blues. That's going to be when they're testing out the battleground on a particular weekend and or a particular day, and a lot of people will be on for that. There's going to be, of course, raid testing starting
Mhm.
up, and you know people are going to be in for that. So it's not just that they're going to invite all of these people that have purchased the Epic Edition, but they're also going to invite the likes of Liquid just ahead of the raid to make sure that they've got Liquid and Echo and all the world first people testing that. Mythic
Yeah.
Plus is going to start up, and if they do it like they did before, it's going to be particular weekends where they're going to be testing this stuff, and that's going to create a concentration of people testing rather than it being open all the time, and then maybe we'll get enough feedback.
Yeah.
Actually, on that note, and something that we didn't cover, is that there are 3 new affixes
I don't want to
in
talk with them until we know what they are.
Yeah, they're like that's why I didn't put them in the
I don't want to do
notes.
that. I don't want to do that weird doomer thing that every other
Oh, I don't doom on
podcast, every other
affix.
video
I
does.
don't
They're
doom
all
on
like,
affixes.
"We've Bell Reflect is coming to Mythic Plus." We'll just wait till they announce it, and then we'll doom it.
Okay. What I will say is that I'm glad to see it because I do believe that the affixes need a switch up,
Be
right?
deleted.
And I do think that despite Sullen Sean giving a little bit of grumbling out there, I think that every season they should mix up the affixes a bit, rotate out ones that aren't working or getting stale, bring in new ones, just so that it gives a bit of a fresh up. You don't need a seasonal affix, but I don't want to be doing the same rotation every week with just like new dungeons.
Ever again. Yeah, it's affixes. We'll talk about that when we get there. We talked a lot about in the beta. We talked about Mythic Plus testing, dungeon testing, raid testing. But even if you don't do that stuff, if you're a pet battler, if you're an explorer, you're a quester, even if you're none of those things, it's important that if you have access, you get in, you play whatever character you want to play and whatever way you want to play, and you give feedback. I know there's like a lot of pressure when you first get into a beta. You're like, oh man, I don't know what to write, if I should write anything. What does my opinion matter? But your opinion does matter. All data is good data. So even if you're not a world first raider and you're not a rank 1 world collector, it doesn't matter. You play the way you play, and there are millions more people like you that play the same way. So log in and give them that feedback, because it will only to help make the game better for everyone.
100%. And honestly, like I think that the alpha experience is the exact right time for people to like dive into something that they were interested in, to like dive deeper into something that they've only dipped their toes into. This entire alpha, like I've gotten further into looking at specs, right? Sean knows that I've been like really interested in delves and want to see what that is like. Now that we're going to be at the end game, I want to see where that goes. I have gotten into even theory crafting on the Shaman Earthshine Discord, and now speaking with theory crafters and like looking into that. So like it's a great equalizer slash jumping off point, and it's always fun to explore. Just like if you are into professions, or maybe you hated professions, now's the time to give that feedback. Be like, hey, like this was super complicated the last time, and you're making that same mistake again. Or this worked last time, and now you've changed it and it doesn't feel as well. All of that is feedback. The one thing I would suggest you don't do is just go full doomer. Don't go in there and be like, oh, this isn't implemented yet, and even if it is implemented, the numbers suck, because we're nowhere near that point yet. It really is, how does this feel? How does this work to engage with? Like, is this fun? Because like I don't care if it's overpowered. If it is not fun, you're gonna hate it. So like concentrate on the fun now.
Right. That's right. Beta's coming. We'll see you all there. It doesn't matter what region you're on. Beta's open to everyone. Manny, can't all be good news this week. We can't just be excited. Anything happen on Twitter? Anything going on in the old Twitterverse? Anybody whose mouth should remain closed suddenly open to spew forth ridiculousness?
Well, everybody's favorite former president, Mike Ybarra, decided that even when a broken clock is right, maybe you shouldn't have been looking at it at all. Because Mike Ybarra decided to tweet out that.
Let me read it. Can I read it?
Okay, yeah, let's have you read it. Go ahead.
I do a pretty mean Mike Ybarra impression.
Oh, I've never actually heard him speak. I've only read his words. Let's hear it.
Yeah, here we go. Ready? I really think Warcraft MoP Remix is a fantastic, amazing idea. Really cool. That said, if Blizzard does this again, they need to address the quality issues. Can't really explain some of the bugs and issues in this. Quality has to remain job number 1 at Blizzard.
Okay. And so, the community did not like this. There was a lot of comments about it being tone deaf. A lot of people pointing to Yubera's own history of having been the man in charge when QA was slashed multiple times. And also the reports of him at a meeting saying that quality assurance wasn't really a career path in the industry at all, and just devaluing
Not a
QA.
long-term discipline.
Yeah.
This is not a long-term discipline. Yeah.
So a lot of people claimed a lot of hypocrisy on that. And like, without looking at the messenger, I would love for Blizzard to take this to heart. To be like, hey, quality should be the number one thing. And we want to make sure that we're bringing out like a really nicely polished experience. This is like the Blizzard quality of old that people keep talking about. Their betas feel like finished games and yada yada yada. All of that. Yeah, I would love that. But like, you cannot ignore that this is coming from Mike Ybarra.
Yeah, everybody like Twitter, like as a collective whole, Twitter was like, bro, are you for real? You basically essentially only joined this company as a mole for Microsoft to facilitate an acquisition that then led to massive layoffs. Now, obviously, I don't think Microsoft sent Mike Ibarra to Blizzard to work from the inside to then be able to eventually buy them out. That's insane conspiracy tinfoil hat ideas.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean some people don't think that.
Okay. There's no way.
Zero
That's
chance.
Yeah, no way.
Zero chance.
The length
Actually,
of
yeah.
employment from like when he left Microsoft, the fact that he didn't go directly into Activision, that he then went into ABK and was moved like, no, it's just nobody does that
Obviously-
kind of 20D chess.
Yeah, he's the jailer. Obviously, that's not what happened. But-
Jailer.
And I don't think he's wrong. Quality assurance should be one of the most protected and supported teams in game development. They do so much, they offer so much, and they are irreplaceable. You can tell when a game launches that had a good QA team versus when a game launches that had poor support for their QA team. Not necessarily that the QA team was poor, but that the support for them was poor. That being said, either you've never read open Twitter and Reddit since you left the company, or you are completely oblivious to the fact that your opinions right now are always going to be taken in the worst possible light when it comes to World of Warcraft and anything at Blizzard. To send this tweet, he's obviously not paying a PR company because there's no chance they would have sent this. So we know he at least tweets his own stuff. And everybody piled on. And everybody pointed out, the layoffs and a lot of stuff like that. And there was one, I never read the original tweet, but the individual deleted it and apologized for writing it afterwards. And the response that Mike wrote, I'm going to read his response. I don't know what the tweet said, but I imagine it was along the lines of, bro, come on. And his response was, and I'm going to read this like a real human being and not like an asshole. In my time at Blizzard, we raised wages for QA 3 times out of normal cycle across 4 years, as they had been underpaid at Blizzard for years before I was there. QA also wasn't impacted when I was there in reductions, but was driven by what game team leadership said they needed to be successful. That's the way it should be, and those teams should be accountable to deliver for players in aggregate. Also, my guess is you haven't shipped many games, but maybe you have. These decisions on quality are not driven by QA. I'm sure Blizzard QA has hundreds of bugs filed against MoP, but it's the designers who make the decision on when to ship and with what bugs. My post was directed at them to listen to their QA teams and to address the bugs they find versus ignoring or punting them. Ask anyone in Blizzard QA how much they're listened to on design elements, and you'll quickly see one of the core issues the teams have that needs to be turned around. It's often easy to criticize, and society moves straight to that without facts and just about everything these days, just like you did here. Good luck, Tom. And I saw a Blizzard dev respond to this who was like, we don't set release dates as devs. That comes from above, Mike.
So
Yeah. So anyway, he's right. Quality assurance has to be top tier. And while I have not personally encountered bugs in MoP Remix, I have heard that there are some weird ones and some things that happen. That being said, you have to be able to read the room. I don't know what, like, imagine you're a major game publishing company now or game developer. He's poisoned to touch right now. Like, and with every tweet like this, it gets worse. I don't understand. I've never seen he was he was universally, almost universally adored by the community and embraced when he got voted to presidentship. Is that a word? Presidentship?
when he
Anyway,
got the
when he got put,
presidency,
yeah, presidency. And the fall from grace has been meteoric. It's wild to see how quickly he dropped. I don't know. Good luck, Mike.
well, I kind of want to turn the conversation away from the person and more towards QA
Yeah, okay.
because like you're right. It's just this splinter here because he's not doing anything for his own personal brand. He has done a lot to destroy that brand since leaving the company. But in terms of QA, and he's right, there are definitely a ton of bugs that were flagged that are known, and they will get put way down in priority for a number of reasons. It might be that it is not considered a game critical bug because it doesn't crash the system. It might be that it's not a game critical bug because it is incredibly hard to replicate, right? And you could think of something like the lockout trick. That might have been something that they discovered and said, hey, you know what? Like, we can't afford the resources to address it because they felt that it was too hard to replicate, that it might not have been found. And then as soon as it was discovered, well, they already have the documentation on how to do it and they were ahead of the game a little bit. But for us players, that doesn't feel good. And I'm sure there are a bunch more bugs that are out there that the player base hasn't discovered, but Blizzard is aware of. And which one of those do you decide, hey, that's the one that needs to be targeted? While they're fixing that bug, this other bug then gets exploited. And it's this really weird thing of whack-a-mole. And like, I want to both bring up the specter of the spaghetti code of WoW because it's such an old legacy game and now you're going back to systems that were in place from over a decade ago. Miss was 2014?
2012.
2012. Over a decade ago. Yeah, 2012. Right? And you're now supplanting a bunch of new systems on top of that. My takeaway from this is that maybe Blizzard needs to stop doing the stuff in a black box. Like, we thought that it was going to be cool at the end of Shadowlands and such, and the final boss and that, and they've been doing more things without testing it on PTR. Maybe it's time for that to stop. Maybe it's time to bring that PTR more out there. What do you think of that?
I have always been pro PTR. You will never, and people make the meme like, "Oh, we're the testers." Like, yeah, we are. That's what PTR is for, because you're never gonna find everything. You know what I mean? If you put 10 people checking a game for something, or you put 1,000 people, right? Like, and we want the game to be good, so let us test it. I am 100% against. I don't like when they don't test it, and I understand story purists don't want to have the first way they experience a story beat through a video that they see on Wowhead because it happened on the PTR. I get that. And you can't just say, oh, mute things, stay off social media, voice that's not realistic. But if the alternative is, issues in the game that make it unplayable for some, I'm sorry, you can catch your story beat on YouTube. Like, I'm pro PTR. I think the more we could test, the better, because more eyes on a project make it easier. So I would like to see them come back to PTR. We've been, in my opinion, extremely lucky in the last bosses of the raids of Dragonflight and how they were launched and were less buggy than they could have been. But Razageth has an excellent point of they launched that boss and it was unkillable. Like there was just no they had to tune mid race to get it into his range where the players could beat it. Like that doesn't happen if you PTR test it.
Mm. Or
Yeah.
at least it doesn't happen as often. Just to
Yeah.
yeah. I also think even on the story beats, sometimes it's good to have that on the PTR. I remember the Gilnean quest and the Forsaken are helping out by bombing them with a new strand of plague, and it's sort of like, guys, maybe don't do that. Like there's
10.2, we were gonna help ensure that Alex Straza was the victim of uh I don't want to say it on the stream, but a very bad
Salvete.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I don't know. Maybe you hide your major story plots behind something. You don't show those, you encrypt those, so we can test all the other stuff. There has to be we need a happy medium. We need PTR testing.
You know
So
what? People keep asking what the World of Warcraft Community Council is for. Maybe run more stuff by them. Throw in a bunch of NDAs. Be like, hey, you get some early testing, but you're not allowed to talk about it before this date. There's a bunch of engaged fans because they signed up. Right, I'm not
yep.
part of the World of Warcraft Community Council anymore. I'm not doing this as a let me and nobody else. No. My vote it has passed. This is
They kick you off the council, they vote you out. Do you have to like put out your torch?
no. You have to
when you leave?
renew every year, and I did 2 years in a row, and so like that's
Mm.
incredible that I managed to get 2 years in a row. Maybe I'll apply next year or something. I'm not entirely sure because it was a weird little conflict in ways where it's like I could talk about this here or I could talk about this on the show and what kind of like works and like do I say it twice? It was strange. So I think that they could definitely use that as an added pool if we're looking for a medium space in between. Right.
Mm.
But yeah, in general, I think just going back to the full PTR testing would allow them to catch like not bugs, but behavioral issues like these farms. More people would have gotten to 70. More people would have hit that wall and looked for stuff, and then they would have gotten. They would have seen the farming and be like, "Oh, this is something we need to look at" before it ever went live, and maybe that would have caused a whole lot less hassle for them. So
Maybe. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Community council is a good way for us to have our voice heard. But how can you have your voice heard, dear listener? Let me tell you. Very easy. You leave a review of the show on your podcast aggregate of choice, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast for like the next week and a half before that gets shut down. iHeartRadio, any of those, drop us a review and we will read it live on the show like I am about to now. We have a brand new review coming in from iTunes from the user named Melon Squeezer. And they said, fantastic podcast. Wish I had found it before now so I could have been enjoying it for years. Manny's voice is so soothing and it's a great way to relax while getting my WoW fix. Melon Squeezer, thank you for the review on iTunes. It definitely helps the show to get discovered. And you are the For Azeroth Listener of the Week. That's a thing I just made up. I just made that up for you.
there you go. Thank you, Melon Squeezer.
And if you have given a review on the show before, man, did you always read them on the show? Because I'm about to do a thing. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going.
We do read them
from the hip. Oh, okay. Yeah, if you have left them on the show before and I haven't read them, you can leave a screenshot of your review in our Discord, bit.ly/Faz Discord, right? And leave us a screenshot of the review that you've left in the past, and I'll read it again because I like reading things.
There you go. Especially if you are from non-NA/many EU countries. It's hard for me to check all of those iTunes through them. I recently just came across the one from Spain and had to Google Translate that. We have listeners in Mongolia.
No way.
I like, yeah. I was just like, oh my goodness. So you are out there. We do want to hear from you.
Very cool. Very cool. That is some more exciting stuff coming up, though. We talked about the beta. We're all hyped for the beta. There is another event coming up, a big event. Man, I'm gonna let you take this one because I need to chill. My abs are screaming.
Well, this is Eve Ascension, which is a tournament that involves a number of games, including, of course, World of Warcraft. This is a spotlight on the marginalized genders in esports. So it has long been part of Team Liquid's um, tournaments that they have been doing for many years now. This tournament is for over $8,000 in prizes. And like I said, it's a number of games in Counter-Strike, in Valorant, in League of Legends, and in WoW. You can register through till June 10th. There are qualifiers that will end on June 12th. And then the broadcast itself is going to be on June 29th, starting at noon Eastern Daylight Time. That's 9 a.m. in Pacific, or 5 in the evening over in the UK. And we have links to all of the rules and qualifications in the show notes, so do make sure you check that out. Again, show notes can always be found on our Discord at bit.ly/fastdiscord. So this is going to be a great event. They always put on some amazing shows, and I actually like going back through and checking out Counter-Strike. That is a game I used to play a lot back in the day. And I love watching that. I haven't actually ever tried Valorant. I might give that a look this year.
I want to because it's in the same universe as the show Arcane on
Is it?
Netflix. Think could be wrong. League of Legends definitely is, and I thought Valorant was their first-person shooter.
Yeah, but I think
Could be wrong.
Be a separate world.
I'm going to say with the confidence of a mediocre white guy, Valorant is definitely set in the universe that League of Legends is, and for that reason, Runeterra, that's what it's called, Runeterra. For that reason, I would love to be able to play it, but first-person shooters make me ill.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Not like physically ill, like I don't enjoy them.
Oh, okay. No, I used to go crazy on Counter-Strike. Anyways, that's a separate thing. Do check out this tournament if you like Counter-Strike, or the game that we actually cover, World of Warcraft, which is going to be Keystone Dungeons and everything. And so that is going to be a lot of fun. Again, registration closes quickly. That is June 10th, so make sure that you do register. Now,
Yeah.
I believe we have one question here. User submitted questions. Again, do submit your questions, and we will try and go through one question each week. This question is from Goblin Graphics. And so, Goblin asks, with a lot of systems and gear getting up-res, but guild tabards not getting touched yet, what would you like to see with updates of tabards? Do you want multiple color choices, new icons / images added to guild symbols? Sean, what's on your wish list for tabards?
Okay, so listen, Manny, bring it in.
All right.
Get in here.
All right. Yep.
I love tabards, right? I'm a tabard guy. I'm a tabard collector. I would desperately like to be able to wear a tabard I created myself that doesn't look like dog water. I just saved you an edit. You're welcome.
So I've only got one this episode. Don't worry, I got a count.
Nice. The number one main upgrade I would like to see for tabards is in the tabard generator. Give me a blown up shot of what the tabard's going to look like. The tiny little icon that it shows you is useless. The best way right now to make a tabard is to turn your camera around so you're looking at your character. You can see it on your character instead of trying to look at it in the UI window. Now, once you've figured that out and it just gives us a blown up of the tabard, boom, like a blown up view of the tabard. Yeah, big fan. Let's do it. Let's update the colors. Let's update the icons, and update the textures. Just up-res all of that. Guild tabards look so classic.
Dated.
They look very classic. Yeah, dated. Upres those textures and show me a way where I can actually look at them and they look good. You know what I mean? I can actually see what I'm designing as opposed to trying to guess, are these skulls or are these tiny little happy faces? I don't know. Yeah, but I would love that. Especially now with the personal tabard. I think it's time that the tabard creator gets an update. Liz, if you're listening, kick it over to QA, get their approval on it, and then let's do this.
Okay.
I love that you actually leaned in. I appreciate that so much.
I gotta say that I would want, like, everything that you're saying just feels like what they should be concentrating on. Just get the core of it into the 2020s, please, so that even if you just upres things, it's great. But part of it I want is some sort of 3D textures. I want like, instead of the like tail just hanging flatly, maybe have that like it's got some like wrinkles and stuff. Like it actually is cloth that like folds a little bit in there. You can have the folds and stuff. I would love if maybe they like add some tassels or like just flare onto it that is actually 3D. That's what I would like on top of the basic upgrade. Just
I want to change my answer to Xander's answer.
Oh, what's Xander asking?
Make tabards look good on robes. If you're wearing a robe, a tabard just becomes a shirt. just the bottom half just disappears. Let's fix that up. Make tabards great again.
Yeah. Okay. I can agree with that. And you know what? While you're adjusting that little thing that works with robes and I guess would work with the 3D stuff that I was asking for, belts could use that same technology too. I'm just saying. Sometimes belts just sort of like dip right into the robe. I'll be editing that later.
Feel like that's an edit.
I feel like that's an edit. They just dip right in.
My belt's getting in the way of my dip into my robe.
I just dipped myself hard. Anyways.
Dipped on my dip. Okay.
Well, that's an entire section of this episode that's just going to get removed.
Yeah, that's all just gone.
It's all gone. Had to be here live. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming out for the episode today. Sean, this was a lot of fun. I am really excited for the beta. This is when I like really start diving into quest testing and start trying to like make sure that add-ons that I like work and are compatible. So this is when I really dive in. And I'm kind of glad that season 4 is over so I don't get pulled in between. My raid team just ended this week. And so the timing seems perfect, as if it was planned. And I love it.
Wait a second. Hold on. Would your raid team possibly know when the beta was coming?
They just were good. They're just good at it. It's so awesome.
Just guessing. Solid guesses.
Solid guesses, which is good. I mean, like, it just makes sense. We just had the rotation end, so now everything's on. So they're like, okay, end of rotation, we're out.
Yep. Very cool.
Indeed.
Good show, Manny. This was great stuff. I did miss Lex, though. I felt like there was some energy not here. Hopefully she's back next week to center us, to balance us.
Indeed. I am looking forward to the return of Lex. But until next time, guys, may all your hits be crits.